In today's lesson, we're going to look at transformation of quadratic functions, and we're going to be looking at them from the vertex form of a quadratic function. While the vertex form of a quadratic function looks very different from the standard form that we discussed in a previous lesson, you end up with the exact same shape, the exact same values, the exact same tables. It's just sometimes things look a little bit different simply because of how the numbers have been rearranged. Let's talk about the leading coefficient A. A does a couple of things with our quadratics. The first thing that it does is it tells you very quickly the direction that your parabola, your quadratic, is going to open. If A is positive, then your quadratic opens upward. You could even say someone has something positive to think about, so they smile. And if A is negative, then it opens downward. If a person is thinking of something negative, then they might frown. A also adjusts the width of your parabola vertically from the vertex. So the equivalent of A in the linear equations would be that of the slope. And so the slope changed the slant that a line moved. So A is going to adjust the width, which will be how wide or narrow a curve is. It's just a little bit different than a slope, but it's a similar beast. Now let's talk about H in the vertex form of a quadratic. So H is going to be the X part of the vertex of your quadratic that's being discussed. However, you have to change the sign on that number when you put it into your vertex. So H causes a horizontal shift in your parabola. So it moves your parabola left or right, but it goes in opposite the direction of the sign. What that means is if I have a minus here, my parabola is going to move to the right. And we usually think of positive things on the right, but it goes opposite. So if I have a plus here, that means that my parabola will be shifted to the left, even though on the left, that's where all the negatives live. So we move opposite the direction of this sign right here. Finally, let's talk about K in the vertex form of our quadratic. K is the Y part of your vertex. It is going to stay whatever the sign is. So no switching the sign here. So K is the vertical shift of a parabola. You're going to go the direction of the sign. So if you have plus K, then you're going to move your quadratic upward. And if you have minus K, then you're going to move your quadratic downward. So this translation actually goes naturally with our line of thought, moving upward and downward on the coordinate plane. Let it be noted, if you are a visual person, using Desmos, as we did on previous lessons, to discuss what is happening in the movements of our quadratics, Desmos is really, really helpful, and again, it is free. So how would I use Desmos? Well, you would start with the parent function. Of f of x equaling x squared. If you graph this first, then you will be able to see how the one that you were given has moved. And then you can see, oh, was it a width change? Did it reflect? Did I move left or right? Or did I move down or up from our original parent function? Use Desmos. It's a pretty great friend to have.